Before you say anything, no, I'm not talking about the timeline of the movies preceding the Cobra Kai series, as that is pretty straightforward, with the original trilogy encompassing 1984 and 1985, while Next Karate Kid encompasses 1994. I'm talking about the time skips, jumps, and now the possibly retcon timeline of the Cobra Kai series. You may have heard me discuss about the amount of time that passes when talking about certain characters and how long they have trained. This is why it's sometimes hard to determine how long that certain character is trained or what events take place. Today I will be talking about why the timeline is confusing, breaking it down season by season of what we know so far, and now the possible retcon that has shifted everything back. But first, before we can prepare ourselves on possible confusion with the timeline and go back in time, is your connection secured while being away from it? If not, chances are people are going to be able to identify what you're doing on your devices if you don't have a VPN in place. Click on the link in the description to get a NordVPN 2-year plan with a huge discount. Here's why you need to secure yourself with NordVPN. You can use it to unlock Netflix and your favorite entertainment websites that are not available here in the US. You can connect up to 6 connections at the same time with one account. There is no data logging whatsoever, and it works even in China. If you are out and about and using public Wi-Fi networks such as airports and coffee shops, NordVPN will protect you with double data encryption for increased anonymity. NordVPN works with Windows, macOS, Linux, iOS, and Android, has a Chrome extension which is very user-friendly, and unlimited bandwidth. If you're not happy with NordVPN, there is a 30-day money-back guarantee. NordVPN also won the Best VPN Award in Best VPN Awards for 2020 by one of the most trusted experts, VPN Mentor. It's also the only VPN to get all the green checks on PC Mag. So before you go on this journey with me, use the link in the description to get yourself secured with NordVPN. Shout out to NordVPN for giving me the opportunity to be an affiliate. Cobra Kai originally aired on May 2nd, 2018 on YouTube Red. The reason this is important is because of something we see on screen in Ace Degenerate, the date of the All Valley Tournament, which is December 19th, 1984, an accurate date that is confirmed by a poster in the original Karate Kid movie. After the flashback, we cut to Johnny sleeping with the text saying present day. This would imply that Season 1 takes place in 2018 because, as we see in later seasons, when they need to specify certain years, they do so. When Johnny gets out of jail, Miguel says, "Once school starts, they're going to make my life miserable." This implies that school hasn't started just yet and it's the end of the summer of 2018. Near the end of the strike first, we see Miguel, Sam, Aisha, Eli, and Dimitri at school, though this doesn't imply if it's the first day of school or sometime during the middle of the fall. We see the Halloween party happening in the second half of Escalito. What we don't know is exactly when this takes place, but we know because of the obvious theme of the dance, it has to take place either in the middle of or late October. That brings us to one of the most important episodes because the time skips which occur counterbalance. We see Miguel taking his training to the next level, and during the montage, we know we are either passing through or in the month of December because of the decorations on the walls of the apartment. What we don't know is when his rematch with Kyler takes place, so at most we can assume either late December or sometime in January. I would like to believe it's early January, which would bring us to 2019. Now, what is good about the end of the episode is we do have some time that passes, which does tie some things together. We know that Johnny gives Miguel the gi after school the same day he has the fight with Kyler. Soon after, the fight goes viral, and we can assume that the next day, the dojo is packed with students as we see Miguel waiting outside the dojo. This is also the same time that Daniel begins to train in Miyagi-Do again. When Quiver begins, we can assume that this is the same day that Counterbalance ended on. Another day passes where Robbie starts work with LaRusso Otto, and another day of Cobra Kai class passes with Dimitri quitting. The day after at school, Miguel tries to talk him into staying, but is unsuccessful in doing so. Assuming that the fight with Kyler happened on a Monday, this would mean that we are now on Thursday of the same week. When Miguel gets to the dojo that day after school, they start to have absences, and after talking to Johnny that same day, the next day they have more absences again, right before Hawk flips the script. At the end of the All Valley, Johnny puts up the poster which gives us confirmation of what the day the All Valley tournament takes place on, May 19th. However, this also means that molting can take place anywhere from late January to early May, but given how different but same plays out very close to the tournament, we can assume these two episodes happen the week of the tournament. That now brings us to Season 2, where we open up with the fight of Kreese and Johnny right after the tournament on the night of May 19th. We can assume that Robbie and Daniel fix up the dojo in one day on the 20th, as that same day, Johnny celebrates with Carmen while Cobra Kai is out celebrating at the restaurant. This means that on the 21st at 8 AM, Kreese tries to get through to Johnny once more at Smitty's Diner. We could also say this is the same day where Johnny reprimands the dojo and runs into Daniel and Robbie at the hardware store that same day, as Robbie's still wearing that same shirt later on. That would bring us to Back in Black, which would be on May 22nd as the new students are finally allowed into the new dojo. Kreese shows up, and Daniel begins with Sam and Robbie on day 1. With the cement truck training and the wheel technique in the pond, we are now on May 23rd as this happens right after Daniel gets inspiration the day before at the dealership. The problem with the rest of the season is that most of the season outside of Pool Pool could take place anywhere from early June to early August. Moon's party is implied to take place right before school starts, and Johnny also makes the comment that you've been in major pain all summer. We can assume that the party took place over the weekend, possibly Saturday night, and Daniel kicks in Johnny's door in No Mercy Sunday morning. Since Tori hasn't been seen since the party, this would make sense that the party was during the weekend right before school started. The Big Rumble also takes place during the first day of school, which, yeah, you know what happens. Season 3 opens up exactly 2 weeks after the Big Rumble, where Miguel has been in a coma, Robbie has been on the run, Corey was expelled, and Sam was suspended for 2 weeks. 1 day passes after the PTA meeting as we see Sam going to school in the morning and later seen that afternoon at Miyagi-Do with Daniel. Daniel also goes that same night to confront Kreese at the dojo and visits Johnny the next day to help look for Robbie. That same day, Miguel also wakes up from his coma while Daniel and Johnny are teaming up in Nature vs. Nurture. And now you're gonna pay. We can assume that Robbie has been in Juby for a few days as Daniel comments he won't take any of my calls. While Daniel is in Okinawa and Johnny finally visits Robbie, Robbie makes the comment, "We had one good day over a month ago." Depending on when school started, we can assume that it's now the middle of September and 1 month after the school fight in early/mid-August. In King Cobra, Daniel returns from Okinawa and we can assume he was only gone for a few days as he spent 2 days in total visiting Kumiko and Chosen. Assuming that the end of the episode takes place not too long after Johnny visits Miguel on the right path, this means that Miguel relearned to use his legs in a little over a month. Although it's unclear, time passes over the next few episodes because the season finale December 19th takes place on, well, December 19th. Also, we have a date for the upcoming All Valley tournament as seen in the fight with Kreese vs. Johnny and Daniel, May 18th, but 2019? So that means all the math we did just now, take off 1 year. Season 3 now retcon itself into December 19th, 2018. But wait a minute. Now that we talked about that last part of Season 3, let's talk about why the timeline is confusing and why it contradicts itself. As I mentioned before, in Ace Degenerate, it mentions that the series takes place present day, which would have been 2018, as that is when the series was released. But because of Season 3's All Valley poster, it implies that the upcoming Season 4 will take place in 2019, and that half of Season 1 and all of Season 2 and 3 took place in 2018. Aside from the first episode contradiction, there's something also evident in that Cobra Kai video game as well. And I know what you're thinking, the game in a way is its own canon, however, it was made closely with the writers of the show, and there were intentional tastes of what was to come in Season 3 left in that game, such as the introduction of Sean and how he possibly got sent to juvie, Daniel and Johnny teaming up and taking on Kreese together, and the Tom Cole story arc. If you're playing as Daniel, there's a certain quote he says after defeating the gang members dressed as skeletons.
Over 35 years of skeleton nonsense.
This further adds to the game's canon setting either near the end or right during the middle of Season 2, as there are certain fights centered around the rivalries, namely the Hawk and Dimitri boss fight at the mall and the Tori and Sam boss fight at the school. The game also opens up with both Hawk and Dimitri wearing similar clothes to what they wore at the end of Season 2 and Principal Lopez's office after the massive school fight. If this game truly did take place in 2018, Daniel would have said over 34 years of skeleton nonsense, but instead they said 35, implying that Season 2 takes place in 2019. And that would make sense, as this game came out not too long after Cobra Kai migrated to Netflix in the fall of 2020, and if that line is an error, it would have been a simple case of Ralph Macchio re-recording his lines. Now, if that wasn't confusing enough, on April 24th, John Hurwitz did a Q&A on his Twitter and answered a question about the timeline and if Season 4 or Season 5 would have any kind of pandemic storyline. He's officially stated that the timeline is still in a pre-COVID world, meaning that the series has been retconned to 2017 for Season 1 instead of the intended 2018. I will say that the series is great in its own right and doesn't need to have COVID as part of the storyline, so I can't blame them for making this decision. I think also because of the pandemic and the red tape from moving to YouTube to Netflix, this also weighed in on a factor of their decision to retcon the timeline. At this point, we would almost be better off saying something like Season 1 takes place in Year 1 and ends nearly halfway into Year 2, or something to that effect. Hopefully that clears things up for some of you and kind of pieces together the time skips that occur frequently through Cobra Kai. This hopefully also helps with what we know about certain fighters and how long they've been training throughout the series. Now we can only assume that Season 4 will end on May 18th, 2019 in the Cobra Kai world, or Year 3 if you want to go that route, and only time will tell on which team will come out on top. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What is your favorite Cobra Kai season? If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing, liking the video, commenting, and sharing it with your friends, as these all help my channel grow. Also, if you want to directly support the channel, become a member for 99 cents and enjoy access to exclusive perks such as the VIP Discord, behind the scenes pictures, members only live streams, and more. Thanks for watching, stay beautiful, stay awesome, and we'll catch you around next time.